Welcome to the Business Spotlight series. My name is Kay Cote, and I am your podcast host here at Action Coach in Central Texas. Today, I have on the show Andy Schoonover, CEO and founder of CrowdHealth, as my guest. Today, we're going to be talking all about his business, his journey to business ownerships, challenges, best practices, and share a sneak peek into what it's really like to own and operate a business. If this is your first time on our channel, be sure to like and subscribe to get notifications when we drop episodes like this one. Hey, Andy, how are you today?
I'm great. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you for being here. Give us a quick rundown about yourself and a little glimpse into what your business is.
Sure. This is my second healthcare company. I swore after my first one I was never going to get to do it again, given it's just such a hard space to operate, as you know. But there's so much to do here. I sold my first company and therefore didn't have health insurance because most of us get health insurance through our employer. And so I went on healthcare.gov and got a plan for me, my wife, and my two girls. It was $1,200 a month, and I kind of joke it worked until I had to use it. My little one was having recurring ear infections, and so the ear, nose, and throat doctor told her that we needed to get tubes in her ears. So we went and did that and got the bill, and it was $8,000. And I'm just like, wow, $8,000 for a 15-minute procedure. Little did I know I was going to get a note from the insurance plan about 3 or 4 weeks later that said it was medically unnecessary, and so they weren't going to pay the bills. It was at that point that I realized that I was not interested in insurance anymore, and I quit. And so I have been uninsured, funny enough, for the last 4 years, and started building some tools to allow people to operate outside of legacy health insurance. What I found is a lot of people don't like health insurance. I don't either. And so is there a way to really pay for bills outside of that? And so we found out that there was, and I've built a company around that. As you know, that a lot of these companies start with somebody who has a pain point and they think they can figure it out. And so we're 4 years into figuring out how to live and operate very successfully, viably, and delightfully uninsured.
Oh my goodness, that speaks to my heart too. So thank you for sharing that story. And yes, like that is such, you speak such truth. A lot of these pain points strike ideas and then strike businesses.
Mm-hmm.
So generally speaking, what does your current ownership look like? Are you the sole founder? Are there any partnerships, outside investors, and how many employees do you currently have?
Yeah, so as I said, we're a little under 4 years in. We've raised $12 million of venture capital from a local firm here in Austin called Next Coast Ventures, and then a healthcare focused firm in New York called Activate Venture Partners. So I still own almost half the business, and we have over the last 4 years got up to, I think we're about 25 employees right now.
Mm.
And so, about to hit profitability. And so, well on our way. So we're growing a couple 100% a year and we'll hopefully continue to do so for the next 2 or 3 years. So that's the goal.
Oh, that's a great goal, and congrats on that incredible fundraising that you did. I'd like to dive into a little bit about your day-to-day role as the owner. What does your day-to-day look like? Are you mostly working in the business or on the business or a little bit of both?
Hmm. Yeah, we're at a transition point of the company. I think it's once you get to about 20 employees, I feel like before that you're working in the business, and after that you're working on the business. And so I think I'm in that weird inflection point here where I'm starting to work a little more on the business as opposed to in the business. I think my philosophy is that, given this is my second time around, that I like being in the business for as long as possible. I think that there is a kind of best practices that says, oh, well, the CEO should be working more on the business than in the business. I've just found that working in the business, I get to know the intimate details of how the company works, especially with the core key functions of the business. And so I'm still in the business in a lot of ways, but I think it's still to really try to learn the business as well as I can, especially when it's just so core to the functioning of the business. I'm not ready to let that go yet. So yeah, in short, just in a little bit of a transition point right now.
Oh, definitely. And thinking about the business, who do you primarily serve? You talked about, some people who weren't a big fan of regular health or normal health
Yeah.
insurance. But how would I know, like walking in the room, if I was a good fit for your business?
Yeah, funny enough, our number one customer is the entrepreneur. It is the freelancer, it's the gig worker, it's the entrepreneur, it's somebody who's maybe even worked at a really large company and wants to go do something entrepreneurial. And their one key hang up is healthcare, because healthcare is
Mhm.
so expensive that people are finding that they are holding on to jobs that they don't really enjoy with big corporations solely because of the health benefits. And so we think it's incredibly American to unleash the entrepreneurial talent of some of these people by allowing them to have really low cost yet viable, healthcare. So that's really what we're doing. So yeah, our number one customer is the people out there trying to build companies, which is a fun group of folks to have as customers.
Definitely. I'm in that category as well. Um, and so how would you say your competitors compare with you? Like, who are your direct competitors?
Yeah, I mean, I think our competition is the incumbents. It's the incumbents, big health insurance companies. It's the Uniteds and Aetnas and Cignas, Blue Cross Blue Shields of the worlds. People are trying to decide whether they go with something that is traditional, that they have been told since they were little. You got to have health insurance. Versus something that is a bit contrarian, a little bit different. And so that's really our biggest competition. Our competition is getting people to understand what we do, getting them comfortable to understand what we do, and then trusting that if they have a big health event, that the community of people that we have gathered in Crowd Health will help them get that bill paid.
Oh, definitely. And what is one thing that you wish people knew more about your business?
Yeah, I mean, I think that you have a lot of businesses out there. You know, I I always say that, like, I love missionaries and not mercenaries. I think the best entrepreneurs are ones that really have a cause that they're going after. I sold my last business for over $100 million. This is not like a financial thing for me. This is truly, I believe that our healthcare should change, can change. After doing the research, knowing that we have 200,000 families every single year that go bankrupt as a result of a medical event, even though they have health insurance. Just there's a pain point here that needs to be resolved, and so I wish people would know more that this is truly a missional thing for us and our organization, that we're all just fired up about enabling people to more effectively pay for their healthcare.
Very true. Well, this leads perfectly into my next section of questions, which is all about marketing, getting the word out about your business. And I love to study and share about what successful entrepreneurs are doing to enhance their marketing. And so,
Mm.
what would you say what is your primary way of marketing your business?
Yeah, I mean, our product is our service is a little bit different. We're trying to build a new category. This is a different way of doing something than you're used to. And so again, it's really building up trust with our members. And so we try to get on as many podcasts like yours and just tell our story about what we're doing and how we're doing it differently, and showing that this is a really viable way of doing things. And so we've done everything from Meta to TikTok to Twitter to everything. Just cost per click type of stuff, and it just doesn't seem viable for us because people don't fully get to understand what we're about and who we are and how we operate. And so I love getting on podcasts and telling our story, and telling about some of the people that we've been able to help and some of their stories. And I think that's just the most effective way of people getting to know a new product in a new category. So if you're trying to buy a new kind of wallet, that's not a huge deviation from what you currently have, and it's not that expensive. You can go and plunk $50 down and try something new. Ours is, this is your healthcare. This is something very, very serious. And so it's much more difficult for somebody to transition from something they know to something they don't know. And so we really have to build relationship and build trust with our customers. And we just really found that we can do that through do podcasts like yours. So that's almost our only way of marketing at this point. Another thing that's really important is word of mouth. We have tried really hard, and I think we've done a nice job of loving our members well. Our logo is actually an orange heart, and it's just which we're trying to kind of personify here is that we just love our customers well. And you can go to trustpilot.com, which is a website that kind of aggregates reviews, and we've got 250 positive reviews up there for members who said, man, this is amazing. I never thought I would have a healthcare company who loves me so well. We have a member up there who lost her baby right after she was born, and just the way that, like, a devastating situation, and the way that our team kind of gathered around her and loved on that family, and she just was blown away by being loved so well. So I think through that, our members will tell their family and tell their friends. And so about half of our business comes from existing customers telling family and friends, which is just awesome, for us and for our members. So podcasts and word of mouth are two primary ways of getting our message out there.
Oh, those are great ways. They're so heartwarming too. So I really love that. You kind of mentioned brand storytelling. How do you feel, telling the story of your brand is beneficial to growing your presence?
Yeah, we're a little not unique, but odd in that we're in healthcare. And there's just healthcare clearly is maybe the most important thing in most of our worlds. Like, I want my body to be healthy, and we get lightened up when we see other people who've been recovered from big health events. And so we use that very much just to tell the stories of our members. I mean, it's powerful when you hear one of our woman ladies, Abby, who's 19. She lost her fingers in a boating accident last summer, and we went around to our community of thousands of people and said, hey, would you help Abby with her medical expenses? Because these were tens of thousands of dollars. And we had people come back. I think we asked people in our community for like $100, and they came back and said, can I give Abby $200 instead of $100? And you would never call United Healthcare and be like, hey, can I pay you more this month? Like, it just doesn't work that way. So the fact that we are actually funding other human beings instead of funding health insurance companies, there's just a power to that. So our little motto is fund humans, not health insurance. So it's fun to be able to help everybody, or help somebody every month, as opposed to sending our money to a big, massive, corporation.
Oh, I love that phrase. That's really, really special. I think this is a huge leap and bound especially in the healthcare industry. And so you're talking about members, you're talking about there's a lot of people involved. How do you keep everybody organized? Do you use a CRM, or what are you using to do that?
Yeah, we internally built at this point. We looked at a bunch of CRMs, and just what we do is so different than what anybody else was doing, that a CRM just didn't work. And so we spent the money up front to build our own little CRM to help us, manage people and manage billing and manage conversations and communication, which has been really good in terms of aggregating data from a kind of multi-channel approach to having conversations, because we're having conversations with our members on Facebook and Zendesk and Twitter and Instagram and all kinds of places. And so, we built an app basically that allows us to have all those conversations in one place, and manage those conversations more effectively. So, we really, interestingly enough, before my last healthcare company, I was in a hospitality. And so what we're trying to do is take a little bit of what the Four Seasons and the Ritz-Carlton and folks like that do, which is just a huge focus on the customer experience and bringing that to healthcare. Typically healthcare is a business to business transaction. It's between the big hospital systems and the insurance companies, and the consumer, us, the one who's actually being taken care of, is left behind. And so we're trying to flip that on its head to say, no. The patient should be the one in charge, and the doctors and the hospitals and all these should be serving the patient. And that includes us. We want to be, servants to the patient, because I mean, these people are in oftentimes a very, very difficult part of life, right? If you need help with healthcare, something has gone awry, probably, right?
Mhm.
And so we just want to love them well through that. And so it's been just super fun to see the reaction to some of the things that we're able to do with folks.
Oh, definitely. Well, this has been fun, like hearing about the marketing pursuits that you're doing, how you're building your community within your company. And I'd like to shift the focus kind of back on you and your journey. And my first question is, why did you decide to go into business for yourself instead of working for somebody else? And what was that transition like for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just a personality thing. It's the entrepreneurial contrarian, personality that I tend to have. As somebody says, makes me very unemployable. And so if you have conviction on something, and it tends to be a contrarian conviction, that just doesn't go very well within large organizations. And so after I graduated from business school, I ended up, starting a company and ran that for a while, and was like, hey, I can do this. And then, so once you know that you can do it on your own, it's hard to go back to answering to somebody else, because I've got, it's very strong opinions and conviction about my ideas. So that's hard to do.
And as you look back at your journey so far with this company you're building currently, what has been a memorable roadblock or hurdle, something you faced that you were forced to overcome? And how did that shape you as a business owner?
Through this, fortunately, it's been just such a fun ride. And I do agree with you that oftentimes, um, the setbacks are the things are the places in which we learn the most. And so I would say, the one thing that has been hard is we got a lot of feedback early on, that from the incumbents, from the people that are paid in some way from health insurance plans, because our healthcare industry is $4.6 trillion.
Mhm.
And so there are a lot of big companies making a lot of money. And if you have another company like mine that is a threat to the status quo, then a lot of people get upset. And so we had a lot of people early on calling us, Ponzi schemes and frauds and scams and, all those kinds of crazy stuff. And I think that I originally took offense to that. And I have learned to acknowledge the fact that if people are calling your company names, then you're probably actually on the right track.
Mhm.
Because, people obliterated Amazon when they started up, because, from all the booksellers. People obliterated Uber, early on, because they worked for the taxi cab companies. People obliterated Netflix because they were, employed by Blockbuster. And so, all of these companies that have come and disrupted, much larger industries, have been, pretty, a lot of rocks thrown at them early. And so I'm
Mhm.
I'm gonna I'm gonna take it as a badge of honor, as opposed to being discouraged by people naysaying my idea.
Haters make you famous, right?
That's right. Yep.
Uh, well, let's fast forward and see what's coming next for you. What are your plans with your company with the next 3 to 5 years?
Yeah, I mean, our next 3-year goal is to get to 100,000 members. And I think that's very, very doable. 100,000 members, I think, puts us, at $100 million of revenue. And so that's really where I'd like to get to a company to be 100,000. And so, at that point, we will probably be saving people about $100 million a year in their healthcare expenses. And
Mhm.
so if we can take a decent chunk out of these healthcare expenses, I think that shows that we have a really viable alternative way to pay for healthcare. In 3 years, I hope I'm looking back to people and being like, hey, being uninsured and having the services of a company like CrowdHealth is a truly viable way of paying for my healthcare, that's better, more flexible, and offers more freedom than legacy traditional health insurance. So that's
Mhm.
my hope. Help as many people as possible, and I think 100,000 is a legitimate goal for the next 3 years.
Yeah, definitely. Which, actually leads me into my final question, focusing on your forward, thinking forward in business is like, what is your approach to goal setting? And do you set one or many goals at a time? How do you break that down?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important to have a big vision for the company to drive the company, forward. And then if you can break that big vision down into some smaller goals on, a reasonable time frame, then I think that's a great way of doing it. I mean, our planning process is a 3-month planning process, so
Mm,
I don't have a 2, 3, 4 month model or forecast or anything like that. I'm just like, look, if we can get to 100,000 customers, I'm going to need to be, X amount of customers by the end of the year. That's 4 quarters away. Let's talk about how do we get to, that number in the next 4 quarters. And so every quarter, me and the executive leadership team get together and put together what we call rocks. I know this is a terminology a lot of people use. And if we can get those rocks done, then we can get to our year end goal. So, I that it's a pretty simplistic approach to doing things. It's me as an entrepreneur, I have a hard time looking 3 or 5 years out, but because my 3 and 5 years out for a startup feels like decades for a big corporation. So I feel like my 3 to 5 years out is more of like a 3 to 5 quarters out, maybe
mhm.
equivalent. So that's as far as my brain can typically go.
Well, thank you for sharing about that. And this has been so insightful to learn about your business, what you're building, what you've built so far, and where you're going. And I'd love to dive into our rapid fire questions. This is where we ask you 4 questions and you answer in just kind of like everything that comes top of mind. So, are you ready
Okay.
for some rapid fire?
I'm ready for rapid fire.
Awesome. The first question is, what is the key to success for you?
Um, yeah, I mean, I think humility.
Hmm. And
Yeah.
what is one piece of advice you have for other business owners?
Yeah, if you believe in your idea and have conviction idea in your idea, then forget about what everybody else says. You know, hold fast to your idea and go for it. If everybody thought it was a good idea, then everybody would have started something by now. So the fact that nobody thinks you have a great idea probably means that there's something to it. So keep going, trudge forward.
Yes, I love that. What is one book you're reading or piece of content, something that you've taken in most recently?
Yeah, I mean, I'm reading a book by Horst Schultz. He's the founder of Ritz Carlton, and it's all about just treating your customers delightfully. So I am focused on that right now. Is how do we wow our customers? And so that's my reading material right now.
Oh, I like that. I'm going to add that to my list. And then the final question is, if you had to choose only one aspect of your business you could rapidly improve tomorrow, what would it be?
Um, That's a great question. Yeah, I mean, I think the scalability of my time to talk to more people like you. I mean, this is what I have most fun doing is talking about the business, and especially to people, like yourself who are entrepreneurs and are interested in something new. Like if I could do 10 of these a day, I would. And so how do I get on, more podcasts to talk to really neat people about what I think is a pretty neat business?
Oh, definitely. Well, thank you so much for answering those rapid fire questions. Before we get to our final question, how can people find you?
Yeah, if you want to know more about how we work, we are definitely different than health insurance. Come see us at joincrowdhealth.com, or we are Join Crowd Health on all the major social media platforms.
Well, this has been great, Andy. Thanks for sharing your information. And our final question for today is, what is most inspiring to you today?
Um, I am most inspired by sacrificial generosity. I
Mm.
love the people that are willing to give their time, talents, and efforts sacrificially for something for the better. So love that. I feel it's a lost art in our country, especially. And so, you know, love all the people out there who are giving their time, treasures, and talents to things that they really care about.
Oh, well, that is incredible. Well, thank you so much for your time today. It's been a joy to share your story and get to know about your business. So thanks for being on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.